Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast, episode number 6 for May 9th, 2022.
Psst. You're listening to a Red Corn Studios production. Don't tell your mama.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Well, hello, children. Welcome back to the freak show that is the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast. How are you? Man, I keep under the Absolute Amy thing. It is not Absolute Amy.
Well, I am.
I know you are. Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage Podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I am doing great.
Got it right that time.
And now you've got some energy.
You want to do your tactic first?
Let's do the tactic.
Okay, let's do your tactic that you made me do before we started this podcast.
What we did was we came down here, and we've just spent an amazing weekend up in Chicago, celebrating our 25th dating anniversary.
It's a thing. Look it up.
It is a thing. But we came down here and we're like, oh my gosh, it's cold and
I'm tired.
I'm really
We've been doing all this
tired.
stuff.
So what did we do, Matt?
I call it a hopping tactic. You
No,
you need
it's
to
not
hop up
a
and down.
hopping tactic. It is, you got to produce some energy. Because if you jump up and down, you get some energy going, then you're going to start feeling positive.
I'm psyched out of my mind about it.
And you, as much as you don't want to admit it, it worked because both of us are like, okay, we're ready to go now. So
I can't feel any more dumb than I did jumping up and down in my basement
hey,
with my wife.
no, it works.
I guess it did. Here we
It
are.
did.
It did.
All right. So anyways,
It so works. So there's your tactic, kids. If you need to,
if you need some energy, you need to have some, you've got to get some positive energy. So if you're feeling like down and you're tired or whatever, just get up, do some jumping jacks, run up and down the steps, run around the block real quick, jump in place.
depending on how big your block is, you may want to just jump up and down.
But
So just get some active motion.
yeah, get
quick.
active.
As your watch will tell you, stand up.
Yeah, get some motion, some positive motion going. Energy produces energy.
Energy produces energy. Oh, you know what? I didn't write down this feedback. But Margot fed back about the feedback. Provided some feedback on the last episode when we talked about the airlines and the limited alcohol on economy, and she was backing up that basically what we said. As I sit here and try and stall, hoping that maybe I can find that comment in a probably not, but let's see. Hold on, I bet you $1 starts to play the audio from the video when I do this. Here we go. Okay. You know, I don't know where the comment is, but Margot made a comment. She basically said, yes, alcohol is a problem on the airplanes, and they aren't going to limit it from the first class folk because there's so much revenue brought in from first class that you don't want to do anything to limit that.
So once again, it's follow the dollars.
Follow the dough. So,
we also had some feedback as well from a friend of ours. Kathy says, hey, Amy, let's see here. I've watched your alcohol-free journey on Facebook. So proud of you. I'm a non-drinker. And if you ever want to chat about how I've dealt with that in society, I'd be glad to. It seems I'm always the weird one,
quote unquote,
quotes,
air quotes,
for not drinking. It's such a crazy issue that doesn't need to be. We are just regular people. Great job on the podcast. And congrats to you for taking this healthier approach in your life.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
So thank you so
that.
much, Kathy, for that.
We do appreciate that. And then we also have some new subscribers on the YouTubes. Again, AFM. One of these weeks I'll get this right.
I guess the jumping maybe didn't work.
Hold on, I'll be right back. AFMpodcast.com. We have the links to everything. But on the YouTubes, my buddy Joe was out there commenting and feeding back to us. So thank you to old and new commenters alike. We appreciate it. And be sure to get out there on those pod feeders. They used to, I don't know if they still call them pod feeders. We used to back in the day. But
I don't know.
The iTunes and the Spotify's, and comment and like it and 5-star it and all that cool stuff. So we appreciate that. So Amy, your drink of the week brought to you by our little adventure we took this weekend up to Chicago to a pop-up Sandsbar, which we'll talk about here quite a bit in a little bit. But they had awesome cocktails. They let us.
Yes, they let us have the bar menu.
I said, can I take a picture? Here, just take it with you, because they put the picture of Chicago on there and really can't use that in the next city. So holding up for the camera, which you will not be able to see. My favorite from that one, my drink of the week, is Jane's Julep. I'm not sure. Oh, Jane is the owner of Amethyst. No, she's
not the owner, but she's a representative.
She's not the owner. She was confident like an owner would be. We'll put it that way.
She's awesome.
Jane's Julep is Amethyst, which is that brand of non-alcoholic, not sure what they kind of call that. It's not liqueur, obviously, but anyway, non-alcoholic cocktail mixer, I guess we'll call it. Anyway, it's Amethyst Blueberry Ginger, Kentucky 74, which is an NA whiskey, and mint, which is a plant that grows outside.
Thank you for that.
And Amy, yours was the I Love You. What's in an I Love You?
Yes, the Amethyst Blueberry Ginger, again.
Which, if you're watching the video, we will put a picture of it because it's pretty cool.
With Ritual Gin, orange bitters, and cranberry. And it...
Did you say the Amethyst Blueberry Ginger? Right,
yeah. And then... it had a really cute little flower on it. Oh my gosh, though. It was really good.
Yeah, it was tasty and pretty.
It was very pretty. And so, if you want to see a picture, you need to watch this on the YouTubes.
I tell you what, you want an Instagram worthy drink. That was it if I've ever seen one, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It was...
a lot of those drinks were Instagram worthy, but we'll get to that in a minute.
True.
Please don't jump ahead of the podcast. Because first, before we do anything, we must get to my favorite segment. Booze News of the Week. I used to have too much fun doing that part. With your host, Matt. I'll start adding that in too, I guess. Anyway, your host, because Amy's not going to do this. I don't know which one I want to do first. This is actually something I want to bring up in a future episode. This isn't news as much as something I found. There's a new drink called Sun Chaser. Comes in a can. I'm assuming it's like a 12-ounce, maybe 16-ounce can. 8 for $50. But it's non-alcoholic drink. And there's another drink that I found that's actually been out for maybe a year or two that's called Kin. And it comes in more like it's not a fifth, but a bottle, like a booze type bottle. And they all kind of claim this like the buzz without the alcohol. And the brain hacker in me is like, okay, wait a minute. If you really are doing something to the mind, what are you putting in this? So I started digging around. Well, they both basically are doing the same thing. They're putting in three, what are those called? Supplements, like herb type things.
Herbal supplements
that are purport, based on how much research you look at, to boost serotonin and good feeling, mood balancing stuff. Anyway, so it's 5-HTP, it's GABA, and L-theanine. I'm not a medical person.
Know.
But anyway, they put this mix in. And I was talking to you yesterday about this. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the things they're putting in it. I mean, it's supplements people take all the time. My beef is they're selling it as like a way to get a buzz. And that's not the reason other people take these things. And it's in a mix of quantity. You don't know how much you're taking. They'll just say 600 milligrams of our special blend. Well, I don't know what's in that.
And then they say, don't
drink more than two. Because you don't know how much of the stuff you're taking. So if you want to indulge in that idea, just take GABA, 5-HTP, and the L-theanine. They really don't recommend it. When you do the research in the brains world, you probably shouldn't do all three together because it's not really the balance. But anyway, that aside, I would rather just take 3 of those and control what I'm taking than drink this random drink for $50 for 8 of them.
Wow.
Anyway, there you go. I don't know if that was a rant or what that was. And I'm not a medical professional, so I am not giving you a medical advice of any nature.
Okay. Thank you.
But here's some real news for you, Amy. Being overweight amplifies the harmful effects of alcohol on cancer.
Or your cancer risk.
on your cancer risk. Thank you. I will learn to read. I need to jump up and down more. According to new research being presented at this year's, I'm not going, European Congress on Obesity in somewhere
the Netherlands.
Somewhere in the Netherlands. Being overweight or having obesity can exacerbate the harmful effects of alcohol on the risk of developing alcohol-related cancer, especially in people with a high body fat percentage. Worldwide, 4% of new cancer cases in 2020 were linked to alcohol consumption, and overweight and obesity are linked with a higher risk of 13 types of cancers that account for over 40% of these cancers. That's a lot of percentages.
Yeah, and those are diagnosed in the U.S.
Yeah. So it estimates that more than half of cancers are potentially preventable, with alcohol being the third leading preventable cause of cancer behind tobacco and obesity, which I think you probably knew that already, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes.
But it really does affect, really affects everything. And
well, obesity aside, I think any additional health risk you're adding into the mix, I mean, smoking and drinking together is going to cause a bigger problem, right? So, I mean, any additional health risk is amplified when you drink.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, because you're taking a problematic substance and just adding it to the fire. So, not a good idea.
Well, and it lowers your immunity, changes your DNA. I mean, it really does. So,
is that why I'm bald, Amy?
I don't think it had anything to do with that.
We'll never know now, will we?
I think we will, since we have pictures from your
is true.
Your ancestors.
Okay. All right. Well, here, palate cleanser. We're not going back in time. That's what we've been doing with the stories. We're not doing the back in time story.
Well, okay. Do we want to kind of give a recap from yesterday?
Yeah. So why don't you tell? This was your finding.
Okay. Well, I wanted to. Okay. We decided to. This is awkward.
This is not a hard thing to talk about.
No. So.
We went
Sandsbar is...
Should we play the interview first? Would that make it easier?
No, we're going to do this. But Sandsbar is out of Austin, Texas. And the owner, Chris, started this concept of wanting to get the living alcohol-free message out. And he really wanted to do these pop-up tours. And so just like you would go on, like a comedy tour, I think he was talking about... Then they would take these tours nationwide, and
so NA events.
Last year, they were doing them online, and I remember seeing it, going, you know what? When they take these back out,
we're going.
I want to go, and so a friend of mine got to go to one down in Texas, and I decided, I'm like, all right, let's look this up. And there was two. One was in St. Louis and then one was in Chicago. And we just happened to be able to do the Chicago date. And I'm like, we have got to do this. This would be so much fun.
And we like Chicago more than St. Louis. So there's
that.
So
yeah. So we, so yesterday we headed out to Chicago, and first we went to Gordon Ramsay's.
It was a little couples getaway weekend, overnight type deal. Yep.
And so we went to Gordon Ramsay's Burgers.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called. And
used to be a Wahlburgers. Now it's basically the same thing, just new name, but anyway.
It's in downtown Chicago, so we thought, let's just go get a burger.
Because it was close and we were starving.
Yes, and the Kentucky Derby. So it was like all this thing. We went in. We were able to go in. We sat at the bar.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And they brought us the menu and the drink menu. And the drink menu, we actually could probably show the picture of that. But the drink menu had, 3 options, I think?
Yeah, well, they had NA tequila and NA gin, and they made 3 different drinks out of that.
Yeah, so I had one of the margaritas.
I just had the beer.
And the margarita was like a spicy jalapeno.
Yep. And it's the same margarita they would make with regular tequila. They just use the ritual
Oh, my
tequila.
goodness. It was really good.
Yes, it was. And I just had the beer because they're also $12 a piece for the mixers, the fancy ones. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just have a beer.
But you know what? I would have bought a margarita for the same price. And so...
But we looked just like everybody else at the bar.
It was great.
And I asked the lady at the bar, I said, do you guys sell a lot of these? And she said, we do, actually.
Yeah.
But she goes, they're a pain in the butt to make. I said, why? Are they different? She goes, no. She goes, I guess it's just in my head. I'm like, I think it is.
Yeah. And I think, well, also, like you said, to make sure that you actually put the right, the right tequila in it.
But so anyway, so we go to the event and we got an Uber over to the event, and all we know is that this place called Trigger, which is kind of ironic to call it Trigger when you're going, to a place.
Because you talk about triggers,
when
cravings and all of that all the time, and we pull up.
Well, no, we get in the Uber, and I don't know where this place is, right? I just tell Uber, go to this location. And so he pulls up in front of us, here you are, and we hop out, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm in a good part of Chicago, a bad part of Chicago. I don't even know if I'm in the right place.
It's just this random
and it's this
place.
building, it says Trigger on the outside. No windows that were open anyway. And I'm like, is this, like, we start looking around, like, do we just, like, no sign that says
welcome, nothing,
like
anything.
Speakeasy like thing. And I'm like, okay.
Open up the door and
see
here's
what
the party.
And so we were VIP because, that's the way we roll. Amy wanted to go early because I think, especially for someone like you who's a lot of these people were almost more like your industry peers, if you were. I mean, who was the gal with the book?
Carolina.
Yeah.
With she's the author of Euphoric, and she's also she also has the Euphoric, the podcast, which is really good. And so I would encourage you to go out and listen to that. And she's also
But come back to this podcast after that.
Yes, please do. But she said she's going to actually come and be on our show as a guest. And she was wonderful. But no, not because she lives in San Diego. I don't blame her. Right? I don't think maybe we can go out there.
I'm over for that. Yeah.
But so it was great. She was doing a book signing.
You got your book signed. You bought a book.
Yep. And she also went through the This Naked Mind certification process like I did. And it's just such a great community when you get into it, and so supportive. And
there were a lot of ladies.
There were what?
I don't know. Oh, probably
handful.
Well, one of the guys was the father of the musician, so I don't know if he counts.
The musician. And then you had
Chris
the bartender.
And myself, and the one bartender. And I think there was like one other guy.
I think there was maybe two. Yeah, two
people came
men.
Inside. Yeah.
But yeah, some ladies groups, just some friends all got together. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, going into it, you don't know what you're expecting. It's like, what do you just hang around and drink NA drinks? Like, what do you do with this thing? But they had like a whole,
just like what you would do if you went to a regular bar.
I guess that's true.
It's just like if you would go to a regular
fun
bar.
Little, what were those little snacky things?
I
think they're calling them crudités.
Yeah, I think they were. But it was like this little cone of goodies.
Like an ice cream cone, but not an ice cream.
Yeah, well, we can put a picture of that too.
So if you watch the video, you'll get all these bonuses.
It was really well done.
Yeah, and they had like a little presentation. Well, she did a little bit of the book reading.
Yep.
Chris talked a little bit. They talked about Amethyst a little bit. They had a little
and then
panel.
A new bar owner who's going to be opening up a bar, an alcohol-free bar in Chicago. And she thinks in the fall, but she's going to do a pop-up event in July. So that was kind of exciting too, to see that, people are moving forward.
Yep.
And
and unlike what you would think, it wasn't just a bunch of people standing around talking about why don't you drink.
No.
We just talked about stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of us are talking about our, we were talking about our podcast. Hey, you want to be on a podcast?
That's true.
We have a podcast. And if we were smart, we would talk about little business cards that said, here's our podcast. But
yeah, we didn't do that. But now everybody, what I've also known is everybody's like, oh, are you on Instagram? Oh, Can I just like you on Instagram? Okay, like me and message me.
So now do we need like a podcast Instagram? I don't know what the hell we'd put on it, but sure.
Well, I guess we could.
Pictures of us podcasting every week.
Here you go. Here we are. But yeah, so it was really fun. And so on the fly, we asked Chris, who is the creator of Sandsbar, if he would do a quick interview.
And
with
Matt,
us.
being Johnny on the spot with his recording hardware, had it with me right there.
Johnny on the spot.
I was, or Matt on the spot, whatever you say. And I thought, you know what? I want to capture real audio right here from the event. I tried to interview more people, and you're like, we can just do this over Skype later. I'm like, fine.
Or Zoom.
or Zoom, whatever.
Well, I think it would just be it. It's going to just give us more content. That's what content creators need to do. Create more of it.
Right. Speaking of creating content, let's take a listen to Chris's interview. It's a brief little interview we did with him at Trigger in Chicago at Sandsbar Pop-Up on May 8th.
All right, we are on the road. We're at Sandsbar, alcohol-free pop-up here in Chicago at Trigger. This is an awesome location. We are here with Chris Marshall, the founder of Sandsbar in San Antonio? Austin. Austin.
Close.
Austin.
That's close.
Give us the 30-second background on Sandsbar.
Yeah, so Sandsbar was founded in 2017. I was an alcohol-free counselor and working with other people who were struggling with alcohol. And a big problem that I kept seeing happening over and over again was people were struggling with how to stay alcohol-free. And when I'd ask what was going on, they would always say the same thing. There's nowhere to go, no way to socialize. And so I was like, okay, we have to figure this out. And the answer was a sober bar. And that's what I created in 2017.
Yeah, how did you take it on the road? Where did the idea to take it on the road? Was that part of COVID or just...
Yeah, so it came from being broke. I knew that I had something special with Austin. I had created this space that was... started off as a series of pop-ups in Austin, and then it moved to a brick-and-mortar operation in the spring of 2018. And I was like, okay, this has to spread, but I don't know how to do it. So the easiest way to do it was to do what I see other people doing, like comedians and chefs and musicians. You go on tour. And so I started the first tour in 2019. I went to 9 different markets that year, and the intention was just to be a little Johnny Appleseed and just kind of like spread this inspiration and hopefully get people excited about the non-alc movement.
So are you looking to hopefully expand Sandsbar to other markets, like brick and mortar in other markets with this?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. I think right now I'm still in movement building mode, I guess, mentally. Like I want the movement to survive. I want there to be non-alc drinks in restaurants and bars and in airports and stadiums. I think that that's where planning my energy there, moving my energy towards establishing a normalcy around it will give the Sandsbar brand a better chance of surviving in 5 to 10 years. I think if I just were to go out and say, hey, this is Sandsbar, it can't be anything else, I'm going to just build up little Sandsbars everywhere, it would be great for the brand, but very bad for the movement. And I'm more concerned with people actually having a place that they feel safe to socialize in than I am about building my own brand. I think that'll come. I'm not worried about that. I think one day Sandsbar will be as ubiquitous as Starbucks. But right now, I just want there to be a movement around like understanding what good coffee is, right? That's the Schultz model, and also I'm doing the same thing when it comes to non-alc.
What has been a biggest like challenge that you've found trying to, because we try in our own market to try and get, bars to carry just a beer, or, we were having lunch here downtown, and we were surprised that the restaurant actually had 2 NA like liquor, ritual drinks. And so they would make them, like, nowhere where we're from has that. And people are like, well, nobody's going to buy it. What's been your biggest kind of pushback, and from that pushback, what have been your ways to kind of talk people into carrying these things?
Yeah, I think it's been consumer demand. And that's what these nights, we're having this event tonight, is going to be all about. Yes, it's about connection and people connecting to other people here in Chicago and beyond. But it's also inspiring people and empowering people to feel safe enough to say things like, hey, could you make me a non-alcoholic drink? Hey, I come to your establishment every week for happy hour. I need a non-alcoholic beer. Saying that enough times will get the bartender into a place where they talk to the bar manager. The bar manager gets to the part where they talk to the distributor, and then the distributor's like, okay, we have to start meeting this demand. But it's never going to come from the top down. It's going to come from the bottom up. It's going to come from consumers saying, we want more, we need more, and we deserve more equitable drinking options everywhere.
And part of that challenge probably comes with the mainstreaming of regular alcohol. It's like, well, why would people want, right? Isn't that what a lot of people think is, why would anybody want something that doesn't have alcohol?
I think that's some of it. I think it's also just a failure of imagination. People just cannot see in their minds what it would be like to have a non-alc cocktail. And once they have it, they're like, oh, right. It's kind of like where plant-based products were 15 years ago, right? The idea of a plant-based burger was just so foreign to people. Now it's easy. Everyone gets it. But it took a while, and what it took were the leaders of that plant-based movement to understand that it was about movement building than it was brand building. And the Sandsbar brand is in that very plant-based mind. In fact, everything that I have done and will do has come from directly watching the plant-based movement. Down to it's a model that's successful, right? So I saw where plant-based products were 10 years ago, where we said things like meatless, veggie, and it never caught on because it was always appealing to a core constituent of people, right? Vegans. Right. About 5 or 6 years ago, we started talking about plant-based. Well, everyone eats plants. Well, that makes more sense. And so you started to see plant-based burgers, plant-based hot dogs in ballparks.
Made it the healthy alternative kind of.
Right, the better for you alternative. And now when you say plant-based, everyone's immediately willing to try. They may not stick with it, but they're willing to at least try a plant-based chicken nugget or a plant-based burger.
Yeah, and you're comment about that supply and demand. We grassroots around our community, and one of our favorite tap houses. We have a lot of tap houses in town. Of course, all of them don't carry anything non-alcoholic other than a Pepsi or something. But one was willing to try it, and they brought in some Untitled art. I think he brought in 3 to start with, and now I think he carries like 5 or 6 because he brought it in because we asked, and then the demand, all those things like, oh, crap, there is demand, and he is the only tap house in town. So if you want to go to a tap house style restaurant, that is the only place you can go.
There's one more now.
What?
There's one more now.
Oh, is there another
The
one?
other one, Keg Grove. They're
doing another one. Yeah.
carrying it now too.
I think they
said no first, and we're like, fine, we'll go somewhere else.
And I think they're seeing that this other one. So I think your grassroots is right there. So
Yeah, I think that's been the way that things grow. They grow organically when you have people demanding it, and when people understand the bottom line, which is we're not going to frequent your establishment anymore if you're not going to listen to what we're asking for. It accelerates how fast they find an NA option. And I don't think you have to be mean or rude about it. I just think you have to be persistent about it. You have to say like, nope, I deserve this, just like someone who is on a plant-based diet should not have to settle for a meat sandwich or a meal entree. Like, there should be great plant-based products. And it took enough people saying like, this is unacceptable for things to change. And then once it changed everywhere. And I think that we are already seeing year-over-year growth in the non-alc market. It's one of the fastest growing segments of the whole beverage universe. And I think that we're poised to see some of these brands like Sandsbar and some of the beverage brands start to become billion-dollar companies in the next 5 or so years.
Well, awesome. I won't take more of your time. We'll let you get back to the party here. But tell our listeners like where they can learn more about you and anything like that.
Well, easiest way is to go to our website, thesandsbar.com. To answer your earlier point about how do we get more people on board, I'm developing an app that's going to kind of aid in that, so be on the lookout for that. I'm also the founder of Sandsbar Academy, which is a 10-week virtual course designed to help people start their own non-alc bottle shops, which are really popular, or the non-alc bar concept. And again, doesn't have to be a Sandsbar brand, but I want to inspire people to create non-alc businesses wherever they go. So that is what I've created in Sandsbar Academy. There's just a lot of different ways that I'm trying to get people on board and excited about this because it is very real. You'll see tonight that there's a groundswell and an energy behind this that is only rivaled to maybe, again, the plant-based movement or maybe, the earliest movements in like civil rights. I think we're starting to see history being written every single night here at Sandsbar in Austin, here in Chicago and beyond.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate it. And good luck in the future. And I look forward to getting that app. That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, for taking the time to chat
yeah.
with us. That was a much appreciated interview. Amy, I love his I call it the non-alc movement, but I like his analogy to the veggie kind of movement.
Yeah, plant-based.
They were calling that veggie, but you call it plant-based, and you tie it to like the healthy lifestyle, and it takes on a whole different life. All of a sudden, people are more open to it. It's like, well, I'm not a vegetarian, but I think healthy lifestyle.
Well, and that's for me. That when I quit, I just felt so much better. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing, and I'm going to make this as a lifestyle choice. It's totally a lifestyle choice now. Right. I don't miss it. I love my life the way it is now, and being able to have that energy and to be able to have an evening with people, like-minded people. It was just great.
Well, and his point about, tying it into the veggie burger, kind of the plant-based burger or whatever, they may not stick with it, but they will at least try it. And I think, if you get more people to at least try it, they may at least, even if people stick with it, I even brought it up to him, like, you may even at least get people to do like every other, right? Like, all right, I'm going to have one NA beer and one regular beer or whatever. I mean, every step of like that's in the right direction, at least.
It's an option for people.
Right.
I mean, because, maybe you don't want to drink tonight.
Right.
Maybe it's just, I'm taking a break.
Yep.
So those are the different options that are available. So
or you don't feel like it, but you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself. It can be kind of an incognito kind of thing.
Exactly.
And he's exactly right. Kind of that bottom up, like it's not, there's no way the industry is going to push it down. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's, and to the industry's defense, it's, you're getting people, the majority is doing one thing. So of course the industry is just going to cater that direction, right? Why wouldn't you? You cater where more of the money is. But I think once they see that there's at least enough to carry a percentage,
it's growing so fast.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be, I can't even remember how many billions of dollars it's going to be in 2025. I mean, it's just,
well, let's be honest, the bar's pretty low for a lot of places. Like the restaurant I went to, the only thing they added to their inventory was one type of NA beer and 2 bottles of NA alcohol. So and none of those go bad, right? So it's not like you have a perishable item. Mm-hmm. So the bar to offer something even minor is pretty easy. I mean, it's easy to put a veggie burger on the list, right? So I mean, I think he's dead on with that. But I did like his point about, because
that also was, if you looked at the menu at the bottom, there was a veggie burger,
right?
And plant-based, sorry, because I think it actually said plant-based.
I think, yeah. I think that's current
and then, there was salads. So there's options. So I really like how he's talking about, that this is all inclusive.
Right.
That why don't we have a seat?
And when you want it, it's, when you ask about it, don't be mean or rude about it. And it's not like, oh, I'm not boycotting. I'm just,
no, it's just like, I just, if you're not, if you don't
coming
have
here,
it,
I'm just going someplace that does have it.
Yeah. Because
simple as that.
Well, I'm not going to come to your establishment to buy a bottle of water or an iced tea or something like that. I mean, dinner, especially. So I don't want, that's not what I want.
Yeah. I'm not paying for, a nice meal and everybody else has these, adult drinks. And here I have, water and Pepsi.
Exactly.
Because that, granted, we can have the whole conversation about does it help food taste better, but at the end of the day, I just want to feel like an adult.
These drinks have complex flavors.
Oh, yeah, the ones last night?
They're adults. This is an adult drink.
Right.
Would you like to be on the podcast, sweetie?
We're almost done. We'll be done pretty quick, actually.
Yeah.
We're on our last bullet.
So... Well, this is real life.
Yeah, right? Okay, all right.
Anyways, so let's see. You're actually on the air.
She's not on the camera, though.
But you're not on the camera.
On the air, because, we broadcast this on the radio.
Yeah, this is on the air. So then, as part of this, but we were talking about the flavors
and
everything. And it's an adult it's an adult drink.
Oh, all those drinks last night were awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it was, and they also had a really nice, for those of you who are wanting alcohol-free wine.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've found a really good one.
Was that?
We'll have
drink
it.
of the week next week.
Maybe that'll be the drink of the week. There you go. But it was very good.
Not inexpensive, but very good.
No, but you know what?
You don't drink a bottle of it, so it doesn't matter.
Good red wine is not
Cheap. No.
cheap either.
Because
So,
it's a 4-pack is a bottle and a third, so
Yeah.
math works out.
so let's see here. Okay, and then they had the book signing. Euphoric, ditch the alcohol and gain a happier and more confident you. Very, very good. I'm just going to read the top part of it. It's Euphoric shows you how an alcohol-free lifestyle can lead to more happiness, well-being, and self-love. It's the modern woman's guide to relax without alcohol, find freedom from cravings and fitting in, and create the life you want, along with the audacity to go after it. So it was really nice. I kind of was a little starstruck.
I know. Groupies.
Yeah, I mean, it's you see, I was like that also with like Annie Grace and the head coach Scott when I first met them.
Yeah, those people.
Yeah. So I just love them all.
Well, I recorded. She read part of her book. And
Yes,
we
and
recorded,
so
maybe we'll play that sometime too.
But yeah, it was just great. The music was really good.
Just all around, well done evening. Totally, there's still one to come in New York and
Atlanta. I think it's Atlanta, and then they finish it up in New York.
Yep.
So that will be a lot of fun.
We'll probably get to see Chris again because he's gonna host. He's
going to Dixon, Illinois, for the Petunia Festival
at the end of June.
Yeah, June 28th through July 1st or something like that.
It's an event that is heavy in the alcohol, and the promoters want to offer something, have an NA kind of, try and push more NA stuff. And so they basically are hiring him and bringing him in to do kind of a pop-up just at that event.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, well, I guess we can.
But that's not that far. So make
a road trip.
It's easier than getting downtown Chicago these days. So
go and check out Euphoric the podcast, and then go ahead and see Chris. Was it Sandsbar.com?
I think that is correct.
I think it was. So, but just we'll have all of that in the show notes as well. But like I said, reach out to them. It's a great movement.
No, it's not Sandsbar.com.
Oh, it's not? Okay. All right.
Hold on.
Scratch that.
TheSandsbar.com.
TheSandsbar.com. Gotcha.
If you're in Austin, our friend Shelley could go see him.
Yeah, that's very much. Yeah, don't forget the.
Yeah. Actually, don't worry about it. Sandsbar.com. Just went to a domain placeholder. So you won't go to someplace weird. You'll be okay there.
There you go. That's good.
All right, kids. Well, that's it for our Mother's Day weekend. I know this is Monday or later when you're listening to it, but that was our Mother's Day weekend in Chicago at the Sandsbar pop-up event. If you have feedback for us, that is feedback@afmpodcast.com. You can email us there. You can always comment, like, subscribe on the YouTube and on the podcast pages and whatnots. We look forward to all the feedback. If you'd like to be interviewed on this podcast, please email us at feedback@afmpodcast.com. We've got quite the lineup coming up your way here soon, if we can get those set up.
And I just have a couple of questions for people just to think about. And just put, who do I no longer want to be? That's a question. And then you ask yourself, who do I want my future self to be? And then finally, your thoughts create your future. Change your thoughts. Change your future.
Oh, we have to restate those at the next episode because not many people make it all the way to 39 minutes and 15 seconds.
All right, well, we can. All right, then we'll do this. Okay, we're going to come to the top.
We're going to follow up with you and be sure you did your homework, kids. All right, well, wishing you peace and love from the cornfields. I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy, and we are out.